Some of the world's most dangerous flashpoints are in Asia, as are some of our closest allies, and these are critical relationships to foster. Deputy Secretary of State Blinken is just back from the region. We welcome him to the committee. America is a Pacific power, and we must act like one. This committee has played a leading role in shaping U.S. policy toward Asia. We took the lead imposing tough sanctions on North Korea, on highlighting human rights in Southeast Asia, and in strengthening our alliances with democracies in the region. Since North Korea's January nuclear test, its fourth, Kim Jong-un's belligerence has only increased. This rogue regime poses a direct threat to the United States, and last weekend, the regime launched a missile from a submarine. Reports suggest another nuclear test could be on the horizon. The good news is that earlier this year, the President signed into law sanctions legislation this committee pushed to aggressively target North Korea's cash. This strong bipartisan measure, authored by myself and Mr. Engel, helped the administration get a sweeping UN Security Council sanctions resolution through. So, the administration has the tools it needs to tackle the North Korean threat and keep Americans safe, but will it use them? A recent UN report found several countries still pushing cash to Kim Jong-un's regime through prohibited arms deals. They must be pressed to stop, forced to stop. And frankly, through this legislation, we can force them. And the administration must designate more companies, more banks, and more individuals. North Korea is a human rights house of horrors. So how is it that not one North Korea official has been sanctioned specifically for human rights abuses? Looking south, the Beijing government continues its aggressive push into the South China Sea with land reclamation and militarization of contested islands. Our allies are increasingly alarmed. And while these disputes must be resolved peacefully, that will be best done with a policy of strength, resolve, and clarity, rejecting Beijing's apparent moves toward de facto control over international shipping lanes. In Southeast Asia, Vietnam's poor human rights record continues. Bloggers and journalists are harassed and jailed. When myself or other members of this committee, Chris Smith, when we have traveled to Vietnam, we have visited with political prisoners, we have visited with dissidents. When the President travels to Vietnam next month, President Obama could send a clear and unequivocal message to the Communist government and firmly stand by that country's brave dissidents, unlike he did in Cuba. And I would also urge the President to stress the importance of restoring the Bien Hoa Military Cemetery, the resting place of many South Vietnamese soldiers who fought to preserve their freedom, a cause especially important to the Vietnamese American community. And while there is hope for the new government in Burma, and we have been pushing for many years on this committee for democratization in Burma, it is making progress, but it must now perform for all Burmese, including the Rohingya population. I hope to hear that we are making the protection of this persecuted minority one of our priorities. Finally, no discussion of Asia is complete without mentioning its dynamic economies. We must continue efforts to open new markets for our businesses and build the capacity of tomorrow's trade partners. Trade can play a key role in strengthening U.S. alliances. The United States has played a critical role in Asia. Our power and presence helped shape the economic miracles. When we think about what happened in Japan and in South Korea and in Taiwan, all vibrant democracies today. But that proud legacy has to be protected through constant vigilance and engagement. Mr.